Continue our reading through the Psalms in the course of 1 year, 3 Psalms each week. This week, our reading included Psalm 71. Psalm 71 is a psalm that I think is unique in that it talks about our whole span of life in light of God's steadfast love for us from beginning until end. So you see that in a number of different places in the psalm. For instance, verses 5 and 6. For you, O Lord, are my hope, my trust, O Lord, from my youth. Upon you have I leaned from before my birth, for you're the one who took me from my mother's womb. This beautiful idea that even before we were born, it was the Lord who was forming us and putting us together and even taking us, delivering us from our mother's womb, even there in our time of birth. Just a beautiful picture there, I think, of God's provision for the smallest among us, even the preborn. It goes on, though, to talk about the end of life, too. Verse 9 says, do not cast me off in my time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength is spent. Lord, you've been with me from my birth and even before. Do not forsake me. Please be with me, even as I grow into old age, even as you give me that blessing of many years on this earth, even when my strength is spent. Still, O Lord, do not forsake me. But I think the verses that resonate the most maybe in this psalm are verses 17 and 18. Again, speaking of age, speaking of what our job is as we grow into old age, perhaps, what our job is for the next generation. So here it is, verses 17 and 18 of Psalm 71. The psalmist writes, O God, from my youth you have taught me, and I still proclaim your wondrous deeds. Even so, to old age and gray hairs, O God, do not forsake me until I proclaim your might to another generation, your power to those yet to come. So again, this prayer, you've been with me in my youth, you have taught me. Do not forsake me in my old age, Lord, but with a purpose in mind, so that I might proclaim your might to another generation, your power to those still to come. So Lord, be with me. Don't forsake me, so that while I still have life and breath here on this earth, I might share your love, your steadfastness, certainly your gospel, right? The good news of Jesus Christ, most importantly, to that next generation, so that others may know, so that the faith may be passed on. And in some ways, that's the most important task we have here on this earth. Certainly to go and make disciples of all nations, but in doing so, and in those all nations, it's people of all ages. And we think of even those within our own family, our own children and grandchildren, as, of course, to be able to pass on pass on the faith, pass on Christ to the next generation, so that they in turn can pass it on to the next, and to the next, and to the next, so that every generation may know Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior until he returns, until his second coming. So very important. It's been said, and I think a couple of different people have claimed this quote: "The church is one generation from being extinct." And the meaning behind that, at least I think the intended meaning is, yeah, every generation has that job of passing on the faith to the next. So very important. And we have God's promise too, that the church will remain, and the gates of hell won't even prevail against it. Thanks be to God for that as well. So God's blessings as you rejoice in knowing that whatever age you are, the Lord is with you. His love is steadfast. And I encourage you to seek the Lord and his strength, so that you and I might pass on Christ and the faith to the next generation.